Welcome back to Cardano Sense, the Catalyst slash DC fund version, where we go over projects that are looking for funding from the Cardano ecosystem. My name is Anthony, and today we're going to start out with a suggestion that one of my watchers suggested here, Swoops. So Swoops thinks I should timestamp my episodes, and to tell you what, I do agree with Swoops. So then you don't have to hear me rambling on if there's just a couple different projects you want to hear about. So we are going to do that starting in this show. Thank you, Swoops. I think that's a really good idea. So if you don't want to hear me rambling on or my cell phone going off at inopportune moments, just look down below and click the timestamp you'd like to see. So let's start off. As I usually do, this show is sponsored by Sophia's Pool. This is my stake pool. Small stake pool, a little over half a million ADA. We've got a pretty good lifetime luck, 101%. So yeah, if you like the show, you want to support me, really the best way to do it would be to delegate to my pool. Then we can both make a little bit ADA and you help support the channel. I would appreciate that, especially in this space. It's hard to get a lot of viewers, unless you're talking about price all the time. I'd rather leave that to other people. Okay, so let us get right into our first project we're going to go over here today. And this first project is development journey documentation. Okay, so essentially what this is documentation for Plutus, which is the contract language that you use to write Cardano smart trains, smart contracts, one of the languages. So let's start off with the problem statement. Currently, Plutus documentation is not very user-friendly, lacking real case examples, does not display a journey to Cardano dev ecosystem. Their solution: let's create a more user-friendly website and add interesting use cases. Accept small community project samples from various fields, community Q&A. Their experience, they're computer scientists, 3 years dev experience, software engineering, etc., etc. Detailed plan. The idea for this proposal is to have a nice journey-like experience for newcomers when going through documentation. Now, I think we definitely need this in the ecosystem. The only issue I have with this right now is Plutus is ever changing. I'm in the Plutus Pioneer program. I'm learning Plutus, and it's literally changing as we're learning it week to week. We have to pull down different commits, essentially, which is like different versions of Plutus as we're learning this, because it's changing so quickly. But we're definitely going to need something like this. I mean, this is a really good idea. Any documentation, I think, is a good idea. Now, a couple of issues I have with this is, if you look down here, $65,000, it's not really broken down. So what are we going to pay for? A designer, ongoing costs, my time, and other professionals that may be involved with this along the way. Now, I get to the proposer, he probably has this all in his head, exactly how he's going to spend this money. But it kind of needs to be here spelled out, so we as voters and community can see that you've actually, you've thought through, and this is exactly what you're spending on this and that. So that's the biggest issue I have with this, other than I just don't know if this is for this time. You know what I mean? I think this would be a better proposal maybe in a couple months, once we get version 1 of Plutus out. Say maybe in August it's supposed to be out, so September, maybe August, September time frame would be, I think, a better time to get this proposal out. But look, like most proposals I go through, I like it. I mean, I like the idea. I think it's a good idea, and we for sure need it. Okay, let's take a look at our next proposal here, which is called DARP. This is an addressing system, right? Addressing name service. So there's a couple cool things I like about this proposal. Let's first look at the problem statement. Developers need ways to manage addresses in their dapps for user experience and backend integration, smart contracts, NFT data, etc., right? Things that are on the blockchain. The solution, the Decentralized Address Resolution Protocol, DARP, builds on Atala Prism's foundation to allow easy to remember address names to be used. Yes, this is a good idea. Of course, this is going to work and it's needed. Just look at the internet now, right? You don't go to a web page that's http://6984t2869. You know, what I'm saying is websites have names, and this is essentially the same thing. We want to give these dapps names. And there's a couple good reasons for this. So I'm going to read through this a little bit more because he gives a good example. Smart contracts can be difficult to upgrade or replace due to the immutable nature of the blockchain. Using a resolvable name allows developers to change smart contract addresses. Okay, so just that is a good example. So in other words, when you put a smart contract on the blockchain, it's there forever, right? I mean, it's sealed in stone. That's the purpose of the blockchain. So if you have a link to that, right, to that smart chain at that point on the blockchain, it can never change, right? What if there's something wrong with that contract? You don't want people using it again. You have to put a new contract on the blockchain. Well, then you have to get all the people that were using that first contract to switch over to your second contract. Kind of tough to do. But if you have a namespace where it's resolving to a certain name, like a web address, that resolver, that name points to the contract. So then you give people that name. So if the contract has to change, the resolver will just point to the other contract, and the people using it will still be able to go to that original name. So that's essentially kind of a non-techy way to put this. But there's a couple other reasons I really like this contract, right? He has a warning in here. This proposal is technical in nature and may therefore not be something all Catalyst participants will be able to understand. Some understanding of decentralized identity is required. And then he goes on to tell people where to look. This is great. More people should do this. A lot of developers get into the mindset that people are just going to know what they're talking about because they understand what they're talking about, right? And that is not the case, especially as we move on in the life cycle of Catalyst, because we're going to start right now. We got first adopters in here, right? So a lot of first adopters are probably developers that understand the technical nature of what's going on. But once this grows bigger and we have regular just people, right, that are going to be here and voting on these projects, you're not going to have that same level of understanding. So you have to explain this more. But he goes on, and then he goes on, attention community advisors. I'm hungry for constructive feedback and therefore would like help and appreciate, would like to help you get an appreciation for this proposal before you write your review. And he goes on to help community advisors to point him in a certain direction. So in other words, if we have questions, instead of writing that in our review, we can go and say, oh, well, he's willing to answer our questions before we write the review. This is great. More developers should absolutely do this. And again, there's another note here. This project was in Fund 3. Fund 3 overlaps Fund 4, and he puts in here, look, I know this is in Fund 3, but if it doesn't get voted on in Fund 3, I'm going to have it here in Fund 4. But if it does, I'm going to get rid of it. That's another good thing, because a lot of times you're like, wait, this was just in the last one. Why is it in this one? But because of the time overlap, you kind of have to do it this way or you wouldn't be in this fund. So I'm not going to go through all of this here, but essentially what I'm saying is this proposal is done the right way. He gives a lot of information and answers a lot of questions that you're going to have before you have them. Also, I told you I'm real big on showing that you can do what you say you can do. He has a link to his LinkedIn profile here, which is nice. But even more important than that, he has a link to documents that he's already started. So he's already started organizing this in his head. So I've got to say, this is one of the better proposals I've seen. The only thing I don't like about this proposal is he doesn't break down the funding. Again, for what he's doing, I think this funding amount, $57,000, is fine. But you really have to break down exactly where this money is going. That's what people are expecting to see that now, because a lot of these projects do that. Other than that, this is a very good proposal, and this is something that's really needed. It's only got 9 claps or whatever you want to call it. This is something that I would like to see funded for sure. So if it doesn't get funded here, I hope he keeps moving this forward. Okay, let's go on to the last proposal here. And this last proposal is Deep data management solution. Okay, so let's read through the problem statement here. Blockchain state management has become completely unmanageable. As Cardano grows, the database has become fast to write but slow to read. In other words, whenever you post stuff to the blockchain, it's easy to get it on there, but as the blockchain grows, the data never goes away, nature of the blockchain, right? So it gets harder to query this data, to look at this data, to pull the data up is what he's saying here, he or she is saying here. Description of the problem, or solution, I'm sorry. We have built a custom indexer with a custom data compression algorithm that helps cache huge amounts of blockchain data for ease of access. Sounds great, right? Relevant experience. We have an exclusive license to custom database, KNoxDB, which is used as an indexer for other blockchains. Bitcoin, Doge, and Flow. I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, that's great, let's keep reading. Macrospace has exclusive access to a license, a proprietary indexer, which is deployed on many blockchains. So he's talking about this exclusive license again. So at this point, I'm actually a little excited. I'm like, okay, cool, where is this? Where can I see this? There must be a link, right? I mean, it's already on Bitcoin and Doge, Flow. So let's click on the link. And there's no link. Okay, so then I keep reading and I start seeing little red flags. Macroscape is a boutique agile development studio of 15 plus highly motivated technology professionals with extensive web mobile application development and SDLC experience. There's a lot of fancy words in there, and they got 15 highly motivated technical professionals, but there's no link to a GitHub. There's no link to anything that shows what you've done or what you can do. It really annoys me. But they have all the phrases down perfectly. Our cross-functional team will provide the following for this project: applications, services, APIs, backend development, web and mobile front-end development, UI, UX design, QA automation, DevOps, and system integrations. This sounds really fancy. We adhere to the agile methodology, and our leaders will help organize and manage cross-functional teams, decompose high-level roadmap into a prioritized backlog, define user stories, acceptance criteria, and manage support. Okay, where's this roadmap? There's no roadmap in here. Some of our previous customers and partners include Bird.Coach, SpaceTrack, Veriledger, Parts Pedigree, Deloitte, Cora, Tendermint, Vulcanize, Transmute Industries, and more. Okay. Please take a look at our website at macrospace.io for more details. Okay. And in all honesty, I didn't see this before I started looking at this review. So I'm seeing this for the first time here. Participate in the decentralized world. Okay. So we have... Okay, so look, this is a little better than what I saw when I first looked at it. So you can tell I do some of these kind of live. So we have some information here. I still can't click on these people though. So here's a bunch of different places they said they worked with, but that doesn't really mean anything, right? You can link to whoever you want to link to, and it doesn't really link to it. It just kind of pulls up a picture. Okay, so maybe I wasn't wrong to criticize them a little bit. More blockchain experience. Oh wow! See, you click on this and it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't go to anything. There's no more information. It just sends you to contact us. This is a one-page website that just links to this stuff, and there's no information about. Okay, so this is suspect to me, right? It's a one-page website. Looks really nice. Doesn't link to anything to about us. You can't click on any of these people. I don't have time to run an image search on these people, but there's no information. All there is a contact. So yeah, this is exactly what I was saying before. Is they claim all this stuff, but there's absolutely no link to anything that shows that they can do any of this stuff. And again, I always like to say, I could be 100% wrong here. Maybe they just didn't do it or they forgot, but I mean, come on, it's kind of common sense. So yeah, I wouldn't finance this project. It's a good idea to be able to query the database quickly. There's a lot of places where a lot of people can already do this. It's pretty easy to query the database as is now because it's not that big. So I don't know. This is a little suspect to me. So we'll leave it at that. Alrighty. Let's get down to community chatter. I'm going to plug my own thing today a little bit. So I did an interview. Where is it? Here with Cardano Citizen. It's a long form interview. I think it's probably about an hour long. I will put this link below. We talk about a lot of things in this Cardano, in this space. We talk a little about Plutus Pioneers. There's also a project I'm going to do a video on coming up too, an NFT project I've been working with. They're called Proof, PRUF.io. And I'll link all their information down below, but I'm going to do some, as we get closer to voting, I'm not part of the team, but I've helped them through this process. They were a team that was on Ethereum, and I've helped them kind of come over to Cardano. So I do want to talk about them a little bit as voting is going to be coming up soon. And one thing on voting, I think they still have not fixed an issue they were having. So I at this point, I don't think we can register to vote yet. It should be happening very soon, probably by tomorrow. Probably by Wednesday, I'm guessing, but we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. All right, I'm going to end it here. This has gone kind of long for what well, no, it's not that bad, 16 minutes. Okay, big ending. Again, this is my big ending. It's just me saying goodbye until I figure out something that's, better to say. I just want to say something real quick before I end here. I do look over all the comments. I try to answer everybody, and there's some other ideas aside from me putting the timestamps in the video that I'm going to incorporate. And I thank everybody for reaching out and commenting. Thank you very much. And I don't ask this, but if you could like and share it, that would really help, because I only get about 25 video views a video as it is. I'm hoping that goes up as Cardano gets bigger, but I don't want to get into that trap of talking about price and all that kind. There's enough people that do that. I'd rather stick with the meat of what's going on with Cardano. And with that said, I will end it on, if you want to support me, please donate to Sophie's Stake Pool. With that, I will say adieu. Have a great day.